Fiancée got gangbanged at her bachelorette party, so I vanished quietly before the wedding. And what happened next left everyone speechless. I, 32, male, was supposed to get married last weekend to my fiancée, 29, female, of 3 years. We'll call her Emily. I thought she was the one. We'd been together for 5 years total, living together for most of it, and our relationship was solid, or so I believed. Emily went on her bachelorette trip to Miami with 7 of her friends 2 weekends before the wedding. I wasn't worried. We trusted each other completely. And I figured they'd have some drinks, hit the clubs, maybe see a male stripper or something. Standard bachelorette stuff. I even dropped her off at the airport, kissed her goodbye, and told her to have fun. While she was gone, I hung out with my buddies, finalized some wedding details, and picked up my tux. Everything was normal. She texted me throughout the trip saying how much fun they were having, how she missed me, the usual stuff. She came back Sunday night looking tired but happy. Said they had a blast, but she was glad to be home. Then Wednesday night, 3 days before our wedding, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. You should see what your fiancée did at her bachelorette party. She's not who you think she is. There was a video attachment. I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam or a scam, but something made me open it. What I saw destroyed me. It was Emily with 2 guys in what looked like a hotel room. They were both doing things to her. She wasn't drunk or incoherent. She was fully participating and encouraging them. At one point, she looked at the camera, smiled, and said, "What happens in Miami stays in Miami, right?" Then she laughed. I watched the entire thing, 3 minutes and 42 seconds that ended my relationship and the future I had planned. I felt physically sick. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed to think. I spent the night in our spare bedroom claiming I didn't feel well. The next morning, while she was at her final dress fitting, I called my best man, Chris, and showed him the video. He was as shocked as I was. I needed someone else to confirm what I was seeing was real. "What are you going to do?" he asked. "I'm not getting married," I said. I spent Thursday packing essential stuff while she was out with her mom. I wrote her a note that simply said, "I know what happened in Miami, the wedding is off." I left my key and her engagement ring on top of it. I moved into Chris's place temporarily and turned off my phone. I couldn't deal with the inevitable shitstorm. When I turned it back on Saturday morning, what would have been our wedding day, I had 47 missed calls and over 60 texts from Emily, her family, and some of our mutual friends. The texts from Emily went from confused, "Where are you?" to panicked, "Please call me," to admitting everything, "I made a terrible mistake, please let me explain," to angry, "You couldn't even face me," to begging, "I'll do anything to fix this." Her parents called too, first angry that I abandoned their daughter, then confused when they found out why. Apparently, Emily finally told them when they couldn't reach me. I sent a mass text to our invited guests, "Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding has been cancelled, I apologize for the inconvenience." Then I sent one to Emily, "There's nothing to discuss, it's over." It's been a week now. I've gotten an apartment and started the process of separating our lives. I've blocked Emily on everything, but she keeps finding ways to contact me. She said it was a stupid drunk mistake and that it didn't mean anything, that she was caught up in the moment in peer pressure from her friends. But I saw the video, she wasn't that drunk, she knew exactly what she was doing. Her cousin, who wasn't at the bachelorette, reached out to me yesterday. She said Emily is a wreck, has barely eaten, and cries constantly. She begged me to at least talk to her. I said, no, maybe I should have confronted her directly instead of leaving, but I couldn't bear to look at her knowing what she did. The thought of standing at that altar, saying vows about fidelity and trust when she had already broken them, I just couldn't do it. I know some people think I was harsh just leaving like that, but how do you come back from something like this? How could I ever trust her again? The woman I love betrayed me in the worst way possible right before our wedding. The pain and humiliation are overwhelming. I'm not sure what happens next, I'm just taking it day by day, but there's no going back. Update 1, 2 weeks later. Thanks for all the support and advice on my last post, it's helped more than you know. A lot has happened since then. First, I found out who sent me the video, it was the girlfriend of one of the guys Emily slept with. Apparently, he'd been bragging about it, and she found the video on his phone, she was pissed. Found out who Emily was through some social media detective work and sent it to me anonymously, ungrateful she did. Emily is still trying to reach me, she showed up at my new apartment, must have gotten the address from a mutual friend, crying and begging for a chance to explain. I let her in because I was tired of her causing scenes in the hallway. Her explanation was exactly what I expected, I was drunk, it was just physical, it didn't mean anything, I love you, it was a mistake, etc. The same bullshit excuses cheaters always use. What was interesting though was finding out what really happened. According to Emily, they were all out at this club, and her friends were encouraging her to have one last fling. She admitted the guys weren't random, they were men they'd met the night before and had been hanging out with throughout the weekend. She swore it was just that one time, but then broke down and admitted she'd made out with one of them the previous night. The more she talked, the more the truth came out. It wasn't just a spontaneous, drunk mistake, there was flirting, planning, and deliberate choices made repeatedly over multiple days. The worst part, some of her bridesmaids not only encouraged it, but filmed it. These were women who were supposed to stand beside us at our wedding, women I considered friends. When I pointed this out, she got defensive and said, "It's normal to have a final fling before marriage, lots of people do it." That's when I lost it. Normal? You think betraying someone you claim to love is normal? You think participating in a threesome a week before our wedding on camera is normal? She started crying harder, saying I was being cruel and unforgiving, that if I really loved her, I would understand it was a mistake and try to work through it. I laughed. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have fucked two guys at your bachelorette party. She left after that, but not before saying something that chilled me: "You'll regret throwing away everything we built over one mistake." It didn't sound like remorse, it sounded like a threat. Sure enough, she's now telling people I was controlling and emotionally abusive, which is complete bullshit. She's playing the victim, saying I abandoned her without giving her a chance to explain, and that I'm punishing her for one mistake. Some mutual friends are actually taking her side. On the financial front, it's a mess. We're fighting over who's responsible for what wedding costs. Her parents paid the deposits for most things, but many vendors had final payments due the week before, which came from our joint account. She's demanding I pay her back my half since I'm the one who canceled. I refused. I'm not paying for a wedding that didn't happen because she cheated. I've talked to a lawyer about the financial stuff in the house we were buying. Thankfully, hadn't closed yet. We were supposed to sign papers after the honeymoon. The lawyer thinks I'm in the clear since we weren't married yet, but it's still a headache. One positive, I found out who my real friends are. Chris and a few others have had my back 100%. While some friends are either believing Emily's bullshit or saying I should consider forgiveness, fuck that. The hardest part is still the emotional whiplash. One minute I'm angry, the next devastated. I'm sleeping terribly and can't focus at work. I've started seeing a therapist, which is helping somewhat, but sometimes the images from that video flash in my mind, and I feel sick all over again. I've been asked if I'd release the video to prove my side of the story. Absolutely not. Despite what she did, I'm not going to stoop to that level of revenge. Plus, I never want to see that video again. For now, I'm focusing on myself, working out, reconnecting with supportive friends, and trying to heal. I have blocked Emily on everything again and made it clear to mutual friends that I don't want updates about her life. I don't know if the pain will ever fully go away, but at least I found out who she really was before we got married. Small blessings, I guess. Update 2, 1 month later, things have escalated in ways I never expected. First, Emily apparently had a complete breakdown. She was hospitalized briefly for what her sister described as extreme depression and anxiety. Her family is blaming me, saying I pushed her to this by refusing to even discuss reconciliation. They've been harassing me with calls and messages saying I'm heartless and cruel. I feel bad that she's suffering, but I didn't do this, she did. I'm not responsible for managing the consequences of her actions. Second, and this is the wild part, those two guys from Miami, turns out one of them is married. His wife found out, not sure if it was from the video or some other way, and is divorcing him. Somehow in her anger, she got my number and called me. We talked for almost 2 hours, both of us processing our respective betrayals. There's something uniquely bonding about going through the same specific type of pain at the same time. We're meeting for coffee next week just to talk more, not a date, just two people helping each other through a shitty situation. Third, the financial fallout continues. Emily's father showed up at my office, causing a scene in front of my coworkers, demanding I take responsibility for the wedding costs. Security had to escort him out. My boss was understanding, but it was humiliating. I've had to hire a lawyer to deal with all the financial disputes. We had a joint account with about $31,000 saved for the wedding, honeymoon, and house down payment. When I left, I only took half despite having contributed more. Now Emily is claiming I stole from her by taking that money without discussing it first. The lawyer says I'm in the right, but it's still a hassle. The social fallout has been just as messy. Emily's bridesmaids have been running a smear campaign against me. They're spreading a twisted version of events where I'm some kind of monster who abandoned my fiancé over one drunken kiss. They're conveniently leaving out the threesome part. When confronted with the truth, they claim I'm slut-shaming and that what happens at a bachelorette party is supposed to stay there. Some people are buying their bullshit. I've lost friends over this. people who either believe her version or think I should be the bigger person and forgive her. It's infuriating. The worst was when her cousin, the one who initially reached out to me, posted on social media about how devastated Emily is and how I threw away a beautiful relationship over one mistake instead of working through it like a real man would. That mistake was fucking 2 guys on camera a week before our wedding, but sure, I'm the bad guy for having self-respect. In better news, I've been focusing on my own healing, the therapist is helping, I've started a new workout routine and reconnected with old friends I drifted away from during my relationship with Emily. I'm even planning a solo trip. I'm taking 2 weeks off work to go hiking in Colorado. I need the time away to clear my head. I've also been going through our apartment, packing up Emily's things. She still hasn't collected most of her stuff. Every time I find something of hers, a sweater, a book, her favorite coffee mug, it's like a small stab in the heart. We had 5 years together. Despite how it ended, those weren't all bad years. There were good memories, too, and that's part of what makes this so painful. The person I loved and trusted never really existed. A friend suggested I might have dodged a bullet, that if she did this before we were married, she'd likely have cheated during our marriage, too. They're probably right, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. I still feel like an idiot for not seeing this coming, or there signs I missed, red flags I ignored. I've been racking my brain trying to remember any hints that she was capable of this, but I can't think of any. She seemed as invested in our future as I was. I've been asked if I regret not confronting her directly instead of leaving. I don't. Those first few days after seeing the video, I was in shock. I couldn't process what I was feeling, let alone articulate it. If I had tried to have that conversation then, I might have said or done something I'd regret. Leaving gave me the space I needed to think clearly. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. Some days are better than others. Sometimes I still wake up and for a split second forget what happened, then reality crashes back, and the pain feels fresh again. But it's getting easier, slowly, but it is. I'll update again if anything significant happens, but hopefully this chapter of my life is coming to a close. Update 3, 3 months later. I wasn't planning to update again, but after everything that's happened, I felt I needed to. First, the coffee with the other guy's wife, Sarah. We ended up meeting several times. There was definitely a connection, but we both recognized it was probably trauma bonding rather than genuine romantic interest. We decided to keep things platonic, at least for now. We're both still processing our respective betrayals, and jumping into something new would just complicate that healing process. Still, it's nice having someone who truly understands what I'm going through. Now, for the bombshell, Emily is pregnant. She showed up at my door last week, clearly claiming it's mine. According to her, she's about 4 months along, which would put conception right around the time of her bachelorette party. My first thought was that it must be one of the Miami guys, but she swears we had sex the night before she left for her trip, and the timing lines up with that, not the bachelorette weekend. I honestly don't remember if we did or didn't. That week is a blur of wedding preparations. I told her I want a paternity test as soon as medically possible. She got angry, saying I'm adding insult to injury by questioning if it's mine. I stood firm. There's no way I'm accepting responsibility without proof, especially given her history of dishonesty. This revelation has thrown me back into the emotional turmoil I thought I was moving past. The idea of potentially having a child with Emily, of being connected to her for the rest of my life, is daunting. I've always wanted kids, but not like this, not with someone I can't trust. On the other hand, if it is my child, I want to be involved. I don't want my kid growing up thinking their father abandoned them. I just don't know how to co-parent with someone who betrayed me so thoroughly. Emily seems to think this pregnancy changes everything, that I'll take her back now that there's a baby involved. She actually suggested we try again for the sake of our child. I told her that's never happening. The relationship is over regardless of the paternity test results. This led to another round of her family harassing me, calling me a deadbeat before the child is even born. They're conveniently ignoring the fact that I'm willing to take responsibility if the child is mine. I just want verification first. In other developments, the financial disputes are finally resolved. We reached a settlement where neither of us is fully happy, but at least it's done. I had to pay more than I wanted to for some of the wedding costs, but less than Emily was demanding. The house fell through, which is for the best. I found a new apartment I actually like better than the one we were planning to buy. The social fallout continues. Emily's bridesmaids are still spreading their version of events, but fewer people seem to be buying it now. The truth has a way of coming out. Some mutual friends who initially sided with her have reached out to apologize after hearing the full story from others who were at the bachelorette party. Apparently, not everyone there approved of what happened, and they're finally speaking up. One of the bridesmaids, Rachel, actually called me to apologize. She admitted she was the one who filmed the video and said she regrets her role in encouraging Emily. According to Rachel, there was a lot of cocaine involved that weekend, which Emily never mentioned, and things got out of control. Not that it excuses anything, but it adds another layer to the story. Rachel also confirmed my suspicion that this wasn't Emily's first time cheating. Apparently, there was an incident about 2 years ago with a coworker that Emily's friends helped cover up. This was devastating to learn, but also validating. I'd been questioning my decision to end things so definitively, wondering if I'd overreacted to one mistake. Knowing it was a pattern rather than an isolated incident reaffirmed that I made the right choice. As for me, I'm doing better, the therapy is working, the solo trip to Colorado was exactly what I needed, time in nature, away from all the drama to reconnect with myself. I've been throwing myself into work and hobbies. I've even started dating casually, though nothing serious yet. It's too soon for that. The hardest part now is the uncertainty about the pregnancy. If the baby is mine, my life is about to change dramatically. If it's not, I'll be relieved, but also feel terrible for the child who will grow up with this mess. Either way, it's a complicated situation. For now, I'm preparing for the paternity test and trying to stay focused on my own healing. I'll update once I know more about the pregnancy situation. Update 4, 6 months later, the paternity test results came back. The baby isn't mine. I can't say I'm surprised, but there was a mix of emotions when I found out, relief primarily, but also a strange sense of loss for a future that was never going to be mine. Part of me had started preparing mentally for fatherhood despite my reservations about co-parenting with Emily. Emily's reaction was extreme. She broke down completely when the results were revealed. Through her tears, she admitted she'd been hoping the baby was mine because she thought it might bring us back together. She also confessed she'd suspected it might be one of the Miami guys, but had convinced herself it was mine because the alternative was too painful to consider. I almost felt sorry for her in that moment, almost. Then I remembered the months of lies, manipulation, and harassment from her and her family, how they'd tried to guilt and shame me into taking responsibility for a child that wasn't mine, how they'd called me a deadbeat and a coward. When I confronted her about Rachel's revelation regarding the previous cheating incident, Emily initially denied it, then broke down and admitted it was true. There had been a one-night stand with a coworker after a company party 2 years ago. She swore it was a drunken mistake and that it didn't count because it was just physical. She never told me because she didn't want to hurt me over something that meant nothing. I asked her if there were others. More hesitation, then another admission. Yes, there had been one more instance about a year into our relationship, another mistake she'd kept from me. So, the woman I thought I'd spend my life with had cheated on me at least 3 times that I know of. Who knows how many more instances there might have been that even her friends don't know about. The irony is if she had come clean about those earlier incidents when they happened, maybe we could have worked through it, but the repeated pattern of deception followed by the ultimate betrayal right before our wedding makes reconciliation impossible. Any trust that existed between us has been completely shattered. As for the baby's actual father, Emily admitted she reached out to both Miami guys when she found out she was pregnant. One blocked her immediately, the other, the married one, is in the middle of his divorce and wants nothing to do with the child. Sarah, his soon-to-be ex-wife, filled me in on some of that drama. Apparently, he's trying to claim the encounter was consensual, but not his idea, and that he was too drunk to use protection properly. No one's buying his excuses. Emily is now facing single motherhood with 2 potential fathers who want nothing to do with her or the baby. Her family, who were so quick to condemn me, are now scrambling to support her through this new crisis. Her father, who once caused a scene at my office demanding I take responsibility, now avoids eye contact when we happen to cross paths. The social consequences for Emily have been severe. Many of her friends have distanced themselves as the full truth has come out. Her career has suffered, too. She took extended leave due to her mental health struggles and the pregnancy complications, and I heard she's been passed over for a promotion she was in line for. Some people say I should feel vindicated by all this, but I don't. I just feel sad for the years I invested in someone who could betray me so easily, sad for the future we plan that will never happen, sad for the child who's being born into this complicated situation. But mostly, I feel relief that I found out who Emily really was before we got married, relief that I'm not tied to her through a child, relief that I can finally close this chapter and move forward without her shadow hanging over me. As for me, I'm doing well. The new apartment feels like home, work is good. I actually got a promotion last month. I've reconnected with old friends and made new ones. I've even started seeing someone, nothing serious yet, but promising. She knows my history and understands I'm taking things slowly. Therapy continues to be helpful. I've worked through a lot of the trust issues that stemmed from Emily's betrayal. I'm not letting her actions define how I approach future relationships. The financial disputes are fully resolved. The legal bills weren't cheap, but the peace of mind was worth it. Emily finally collected the last of her things from storage last week, so there are no more logistical ties between us. Sarah and I still meet occasionally. We've developed a genuine friendship out of our shared experience. She's dating someone new and seems happy. We joke sometimes about how we should thank our exes for introducing us to each other in their own terrible way. I think this will be my final update. The story is essentially over. Emily made her choices, and now she's living with the consequences. I've made peace with what happened, and I'm focused on building a new life. In a strange way, I'm grateful for that anonymous text with the video. Without it, I might be married to Emily now, unaware of her true character, maybe raising another man's child as my own. Instead, I'm free to find real happiness with someone worthy of trust. For those going through something similar, it gets better. The pain doesn't disappear completely, but it fades, life goes on, and sometimes the worst betrayals lead to unexpected new beginnings. Final update: 1 year later, I wasn't planning on posting again, but something happened that I thought provided proper closure to this whole saga, and several people have messaged asking for an update, so here it is. Life has been good, great, actually. The promotion I mentioned in my last update came with a significant raise. I've used some of that money to travel, something I always wanted to do more of, but never prioritized when I was with Emily. I've been to Japan, Portugal, and spent a month working remotely from Argentina. The experiences have been incredible and healing in ways I didn't expect. The woman I mentioned dating before, her name is Lauren. Things got serious quickly, which wasn't my plan, but sometimes life doesn't follow plans, as I've clearly learned. She's everything Emily wasn't: honest, direct, supportive without being enabling. We've been together for 8 months now, and I've never felt more secure in a relationship. She knows my whole story and has been patient with the trust issues I'm still working through. As for Emily, I'd managed to avoid any direct contact with her for months. I'd hear occasional updates through mutual friends despite asking them not to tell me, but that was it. I knew she had the baby, a boy, and was struggling with single motherhood. Her parents were helping a lot. Apparently, one of the Miami guys eventually agreed to a paternity test and was confirmed as the father, but he's still refusing any involvement beyond minimum court-ordered child support. I thought our paths would never cross again. Then last week, I ran into her at a coffee shop downtown. I almost didn't recognize her at first. She looked completely different, thinner, tired, her hair cut short. The confident, vibrant woman I had once loved was gone, replaced by someone who seemed beaten down by life. She was alone, no baby with her. She spotted me before I could leave, and for a moment, we just stared at each other. Then she asked if we could talk. Against my better judgment, I agreed to sit with her for a few minutes. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "I'm sorry, not just for what I did, but for how I handled everything after. You deserved better. I was selfish and stupid, and I destroyed the best thing in my life." It wasn't the apology I expected, but it felt genuine. She didn't try to justify her actions or blame alcohol or her friends. She just took responsibility. She told me about her life now, the struggles of single parenthood, the judgment she still faces from people who know what happened, the loss of friends and respect. Her parents are selling their house to move closer and help with the baby. Her career is back on track, but barely. She's in therapy, too, trying to understand why she sabotaged her own happiness. "The worst part," she said, "is knowing that I hurt someone who truly loved me. I don't expect your forgiveness, but I need you to know I regret what I did every single day." I didn't say much in response. What could I say? The anger I once felt had faded long ago, replaced by indifference and a vague sadness for what might have been. I told her I appreciated her apology and wished her well with her son. As I got up to leave, she asked one last question: "Are you happy?" I thought about Lauren, about my job, my travels, my friends, the life I've built in the aftermath of destruction. "Yes," I said, "I am." She nodded and gave me a sad smile. "Good, you deserve to be." That 5-minute conversation gave me more closure than all the therapy sessions combined. It wasn't that I needed her apology. I'd moved on long before receiving it, but there was something powerful about seeing her acknowledge the reality of what she'd done and its consequences. Walking away from that coffee shop, I felt the last lingering weight lift from my shoulders. There's no anger anymore, no resentment, not even pity, just a calm acceptance that sometimes people make choices that irrevocably change the course of their lives, and all we can do is adapt and move forward. 2 nights ago, sitting on a balcony watching the sunset with Lauren, I realized something. I'm grateful for what happened, not because Emily deserved the fallout or because I take pleasure in her struggles, but because that painful episode freed me to find genuine happiness. In trying to destroy me, she inadvertently set me free. So that's it, the final chapter in a story I never expected to be part of. For those who followed along and offered support, thank you. For those going through something similar, hang in there, the pain passes, and sometimes what waits on the other side is better than what you lost. Life goes on, and sometimes life gets better in ways you never could have imagined. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.